A very warm welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you're all doing good. I would like to start today's discussion with enthusiasm. The secret of genius is to carry the spirit of the child into old age, which means never losing your enthusiasm. This quote reminds me of Devanand, famous film actor of our country, Devanand. He was genius and he was so enthusiastic even in his late 80s, and there are so many examples. You will find that most of the geniuses, right, they were so enthusiastic. So yes, enthusiasm is the secret of being genius. With this, dear friends, a good news for all of you. Big Diwali sale is available on all our smart courses. This will last till 17th November only. This Diwali, gift yourself a smart course. You will get 50% flat discount plus extra 10% off if you use this Diwali 10 code. To find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. On our table, we have three articles. The first one is about this terror attack in a city of France called Nice. Second one is about the signs of monsoon. Third one is about Sponge City. Now, these two articles, Signs of Monsoons and Time for a Sponge City's Mission in India, they are interrelated, they are complementary to each other, of course, and they are important for your mains examination. You can easily find a question about urban floods, how to sort it out, or how to mitigate the risks of urban floods. So, dear friends, let's start our discussion with this one, terror in Nice. On your screen, you can see this picture of France, and it's a very sad, unfortunate news that three people were killed by a terrorist, and so many are injured. As far as this terrorist is concerned, he is also injured, and as far as I know, he is at present going through a treatment in a hospital. Now, France is in a bit of trouble, right? The reason why I'm saying this is because a few weeks ago, there was a school teacher that was beheaded by a student. An 18-year-old student beheaded a school teacher in Paris suburb. And today we find this news item or this article on this knife attack in the southern France city of Nice. And a terrorist killed three people and injured many others. Now, France is a very metropolitan society. You find people from various different parts of the world. They are living in France, and as far as Muslim community is concerned, France is home to Europe's largest Muslim community. So this indicates that France is a country that is very vibrant and very diverse as well. Now, we have to understand two things here, right? The first thing is that for Muslims, it is, they take it, or in Islam, it is not allowed, as far as I know, right? Islam does not allow to, create paintings of Prophet Muhammad. And as far as France is concerned, if you see the history of France, then you find that French Revolution took place here, and all this, equality, liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You'll find the roots of this thing in modern world, right? They originated from France. So we have two things here, right? On one side, you have Charlie Hebdo. Charlie Hebdo is saying that it's a magazine, and this magazine is saying that we operate in a country that has a constitution, we have freedom of speech, expression, all these things. And we know about this, you can add this culture of French Revolution that is part of France. And on the other side, we have a religious belief, right? So we are in a very tricky situation here, or a catch-22 situation, right? That on one side we have to protect the freedom of speech, expression, everything. This is also important. On the other side, it is important that the things that we do does not harm or does not offend people of any belief, right? It doesn't matter if you are Muslim or Hindu or Christian, right? if few things are not allowed, or if it is part of religion, then it has to be followed. On the other side, you have constitution, right? You have freedom of speech, and you cannot restrict those things as well. So now I believe now you understand that this is a very tricky situation, isn't it? Now we have to understand this thing that terror attack has cost more than 200 lives in France in last 8 years, and France has said, the French government has said that it will not give in to the threats coming from the terrorists as well as terrorist organization. The reality is that jihadists, they continue to strike, and they are taking innocent lives, and government has done everything, preventive as well as combative actions, but they are not helping. I want to add one more thing here. Few years ago, I was going through one interview of army officer of our country, Indian army officer, and he said that what happens is that, I think it was during this Uri time, Uri, but during this Pathankot, right? So during this Pathankot terror attack, at that point of time, in one interview in All India Radio, I heard this thing. I'll roughly tell you what it was all about. He said that what happens is that when we are hit by a terrorist, right, then we talk about weaknesses of our army and intelligence and everything. But what happens in reality is that they try 19 times. 19 times they are stopped by army or our intelligence, and we have some sort of information and we take action. But one time, if they escape our net and if they hit us, then everyone is blaming the government as well as our defense forces as well as police, etc. So same thing applies here to the French government, that French government did everything, right? It is doing everything, preventive measures, combative measures, but sometimes you cannot control things, and this is a dark reality, and it becomes even more trickier because you see here who conducted this attack, right? It was conducted by a single individual, and a few weeks ago we were talking about this thing, wolf attack, remember? Lone wolf. So there are so many youngsters, they are radicalized online, and there are so many organizations like Al-Qaeda and Islamic State, and then there are so many NGOs, right? In reality, they are like terror spreading organizations. So what they do is they do charity work and things, and then they win your heart and mind, and then they brainwash you. So that's what they are doing around the world. There are few organizations. I'm not saying every NGO is doing this thing. What I'm saying is that there are few organizations, and then they will connect you with Al-Qaeda and Islamic State, and then they use you, or they convert you as a sleeper cell, and then they will give you an order one day. You will get a message or something that you need to do something. So even if you don't have any sort of sophisticated weapons, these days what they are doing, this lone wolf attackers, they are using their knives, and they are using their cars and this sort of things as a weapon. So it becomes nearly impossible. It becomes very difficult for any country. Even if you have best intelligence service in the world, it becomes very difficult to stop this sort of attacks. Now, one more thing that I don't know whether you will find it in any article, but what they do is, these terrorist organizations, they know this thing, that when a person will attack someone, when a lone wolf will attack someone, kill someone, injure someone, then people are going to hate people, the other people. They are going to, let's say, Christians or Hindus and other people, right? They are going to feel that it is always Muslims who are doing this thing, right? So what will happen? That will create more cracks in a society. It will polarize communities. This thing will create distance. So the majority will start, staying away from a particular community. In this case, they will stay away from Muslims, and then people will not make friends. And even if they make friends, then they will think, they will always carry this stereotype of prejudice. So this will help terrorist organizations. It will not help Muslims. It will not help other people or other people of different religious background, right? It will help Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. How? Because what they will do is they will then tell the youngsters, see, this is the behavior that you are getting from this community. You are living in France, you think that you are a French citizen, but in reality you are not a French citizen. They never treat you as a French citizen. They are always treat you as you are from this particular religion, and they will do this and that, and this whole brainwashing thing. And then it becomes easier for them to recruit people and create troubles around the world. And then they can negotiate, and so this is how they play around. This is their trick. The more cracks in a society, the better it is for these people to recruit people, and then they create more and more troubles. One more thing that I find very interesting in this article is a medieval ideology is now equipped with modern weapons, and this is a very dangerous thing. There are this sort of Al-Qaeda and ISIS and other organizations. Their ideology is medieval, and what they are using, modern weapons. They say that they are working for religion, but they are raping women, they are killing innocent people, they are killing children, elderly people, sick people, right? They are not living anything. Their leaders are living in some of the best places in the world. They are eating best food, they are using best cars, and they have money and power and everything. And they are using innocent people, and they are brainwashing them, particularly youngsters. And they are profiting out of it. And that's everything as far as that article is concerned. Now, dear friends, if you want to download the PDF of today's lecture, check out my Telegram channel. You can follow me on Facebook as well. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion. Don't forget to share this lecture with other students. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Science of Monsoons, a very interesting article. Southwest monsoon, we know that winds coming from southwest part of India, right? They are known as southwest monsoon winds. Now, officially, as per IMD, the southwest monsoon 2020 is over. This year we got extra 8% rainfall, which is very interesting because for the first time since 2010, India got more than 100% of its LPA of 88 centimeter in consecutive. Yes, you have to keep this thing in mind that the current LPA of our country is 88 centimeter. It was 89 centimeter earlier on, but this was reduced by 1 centimeter last year by IMD. So it is 88 centimeter. They can ask you this question: what is LPA of India? It is 88 centimeter long period average of rainfall. So this 8% plus is good, or it's very interesting. As well as last year we got 110%. This year 108%. India has never got over 105% of LPA in consecutive years in at least 30 years, according to the records available since 1988. Now, meteorologists often speak of 2 or 3 decade epochs of rain variation. So what happens is, every 20-30 years you enter into a more rain zone, and after that every 20-30 years you enter into a sort of low patch rainfall. So early 2000 it was a low patch, so we had many droughts those in early 2000, and these days we are finding every year more rainfall. So this means that we would be in this more rainy epoch. So we may get more rain maybe next year or in next few years. So that means more floods, more overflowing dams, more landslides, more loss of lives and crops and so many things. So we have to prepare ourselves for it in advance. Now, one thing that I think is missing in our country is this very specific city-wise data. And I'm not talking about generic data that you get. These days we have mobile smartphones and you can set your city and you will get updates about it. But most of the time they are not that much accurate. So we need to make it a bit more sophisticated. I'll give you a few examples and then you can think about it. For example, Mumbai city, right? We find floods or urban flood is a very common thing in Mumbai. So just imagine if you are living in Mumbai and a week in advance, you will know that next Sunday is going to be a very heavy rainfall in Mumbai. And if you can know about this thing, that these are the parts where you will get more rainfall, if that is possible. I'm not sure whether we have that sort of sophistication. But let's say in general, if we can be made aware, or we can be made informed about this heavy rainfall next Sunday. So what we can do is, or what if I would be living in Mumbai, then I would plan my schedule accordingly. I will stay at my home most of the time or throughout the day. I will plan my work and everything. I will buy extra food in case if there is heavy flooding for maybe 1 or 2 days. So this will give us enough time to plan, and by doing this we can save so many lives, and we can save a huge amount of property as well. We can make sure that all our gutters and drainage system are working up to date. There are no issues or blockages and things like that. So this is one thing. Second thing is, let's say if you are a farmer, then you can store all your grains and everything in a safe place so that the rain will not destroy or damage your crop. If you are a restaurant owner, then you will plan accordingly. If you know that floods are going to be very heavy, then you will cook limited amount of food, rather than mostly in weekends restaurants are nearly full. So this way you will save your money as well. So it will impact so many people, isn't it? So this is something that we need, and I think this is something that is missing. Then withdrawal of this monsoon has been delayed, and this has created destruction in many parts of our country. It has destroyed many crops, and this is one of the reason why food inflation was high, or is high in fact these days. Now southwesterly is over, then starts this northeasterly winds which brings rain in parts of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, and some parts of Karnataka as well. And this is the reason why rainfall was too very heavy rainfall in Telangana or Hyderabad. Southwest monsoon adds 75 to 80% of rainfall, or covers 75 to 80% of rainfall, and the rest 10 to 12% is covered by this northeasterly winds. Now the thing is, because it is limited to associated with a very limited geographical area, we are not doing that much research on this northeasterly monsoon or northeasterly winds that brings rain to these parts of our country. And because of that, we don't have proper analysis, and because of that, we cannot do proper disaster management. So we need to pay more attention to northeasterly winds as well. Now we were talking about Hyderabad, right? Torrential rain in the third week of October in Hyderabad was very heavy. It has killed nearly 50 people. Hundreds of riverbed hutments were flushed away, and so much of destruction. And as we are discussing now, we know something similar took place a few years ago in Chennai. Gurugram was similar situation a few years ago, and same thing goes with Mumbai. So what is a proper solution or a long-term solution for this thing? See the city of Hyderabad. 2016, a 16-year record, Hyderabad received 16 centimeter of rain in a single day. In 2017, the city witnessed a 450% increase compared to the average rainfall it receives during this month of September. In September 2019, the rainfall was the highest in 100 years, while in October it was in 62% excess. And the rainfall received in 2020 has been the highest for the month of October in a century. So why our cities, or let's say Hyderabad or other cities, right? Why we are not able to handle rainfall? Of course, we have seen that as far as Hyderabad is concerned, there was extra heavy rainfall. But in normal times as well, if you have a little bit of rainfall, then we find that our cities are nearly, blocked. Our cities, they are not able to handle our this much of rainfall or extra rainfall. As far as this Hyderabad is concerned, its century-old drainage system that was developed in 1920s covered only a small part of the core city. The rest of the city is, it grew beyond its original limit, and in last 20 years, the city has grown at least 4 times its original built-up area. One of the main reasons that we know now is that we were not able to discharge water in time, and this is the main reason why we saw this much of flooding. So we don't have proper drainage system in many parts of, or many pockets of our country. Now here comes a very important thing that is called wetland or wetlands, right? Now wetlands, right? What is a wetland? Wetland is the one that you can see on your screen. We find wetlands around our village area, our town area, around our city area, right? These are the places. They are dry most of the time, but when we get rainfall, they are filled up. They are like, new fresh ponds around our city. So naturally, it is very logical. If you observe it, then you will find that this area is bit low in altitude compared to the rest of the city or village or town. So naturally, water is going to find its way and it will head to this area that is lower in altitude. What is happening is we are blocking this. We are not only blocking this this path of this water, but at the same time we are creating new construction, this wetland. So there is no place for the water to escape your city, and this is the reason. This is one of the main reasons why we find this many floods, right? Lack of planning, no proper infrastructure, and this is the reason why we find this situation. Now we need to start paying attention to the management of our wetlands. This is the most important thing. The risk is going to increase year after year with changing rainfall patterns and a problem of urban terrain which is incapable of absorbing, holding and discharging water. And this sort of rainfall, as city management or city administration cannot handle it. Even a state government cannot handle this thing. So we need to plan ahead. So here comes the role of sponge city. Now what is sponge city? The best example is on your screen. Yes, we can have, or we can create construction and concrete jungles. At the same time, we have to make sure that we don't touch some sort of green pockets. The best example is your garden. In many bungalows, in many places, we find that part of the garden is covered with cement or cement floor, and the rest of the garden is kept natural. You have mud and everything, right? Soil and your flowers and your trees and shrubs. So whenever we have heavy rainfall, then we find that water will not stay on your cement patio or cement floor, but your soft patch will absorb water because it is spongy. So that's how it works. This is the main thing about sponge city. So sponge city is keeping this sort of pockets that will allow the water to get absorbed by your natural open area, and this will add water. It will recharge your groundwater. At the same time, it will keep a fine balance rather than creating flood-like situation. It can absorb extra amount of rainfall easily if we have this sort of pockets in our city, town or village area. So this is the solution, sponge city. And what we need to do is we need to make sponge city part of Amrut, Hriday as well as Smart City Mission. There are 3 things through which we can achieve it. The first is we need to have a proper wetland policy. The second thing is wetland should not be divided into your governance boundaries. It should be the natural boundary should be the main thing. So if, let's say, if your wetland is, this is the size of, this is a portion of wetland. Now this part is coming in Mumbai, this part is coming in Chennai, this part is coming in, or not say Mumbai or Chennai, they are too far from each other. I'll give you a rough example. Let's say this is your wetland, right? So if this is your city A jurisdiction, this is your city B jurisdiction, and this is your city C jurisdiction. What happens if city C will give permission for construction here and B will give construction permission here? So it's going to affect this wetland, isn't it? This is not how you should do. What we need here is this whole wetland area should be managed by these 3 cities, or they can appoint one body or committee, and then that committee can manage this thing. So natural boundary, we need to consider natural boundary rather than your governance boundary. And then there should be a ban against terrain alteration. You cannot alter wetlands and this sort of places. You should not allow construction on this sort of places, and this is how we can protect, or we can handle this sort of floods. And that's everything from my side. Thank you very much for watching this video. God bless you all. Jai Hind.